So believe it or not, cash has been declared the enemy for banks. As ironic as that sounds. But for millions of South Africans out there, it's still the only thing they trust. You see, today we're unpacking this tug of war between digital payments and hard cash, while government just made price fixing legal to prop up a local industry, and the shocking number of pregnancies coming out of South Africa's colleges. And be sure to stick around for the Wildcard, where we reveal the local brew that led to worldwide recognition. My friends, be sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the most important stories out there. And with all that out the way, let's get into it. So some say cash is dead while others say it's still king. And in South Africa, both seem to be right. You see, on the one side, the banks are waging open war. Standard Bank has halved its tellers since 2020. Capitec's former CEO calls cash literally the #1 enemy. New rails like PayShap provide real-time transfers from your phone to almost any accounts, including small traders. And digital is spreading quickly. Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Capitec Pay are eating into card swipes, while most other retailers now promote scan to pay. And now, for banks, this isn't just about convenience. Managing cash in this system reportedly costs our economy 30 billion rand a year, from printing notes to transporting and securing them, which is roughly the same as what government spends on relief grants. Now, the other prize here is data. You see, when you swipe or tap, banks know what you're buying, when, and where, and they reportedly can use that data for credit scoring, insurance risk, or selling new services. So from the outside, it looks like cash is finally on the way out. But the numbers tell a very different story. So here's the catch. Reserve Bank data shows that cash circulation hasn't dropped since 2009. In 2023, around 171 billion rand in notes were still moving throughout our economy, with reportedly half of all adults withdrawing their full salary the moment it lands. Now, for millions of South Africans, cash isn't some outdated relic. It's control. You can see it, you can count it, and you can avoid this minefield of debit order abuse, hidden fees, or card machines that fail when the signal drops. Now, debit orders in particular carry many scars. South Africans have been stung by unauthorized debits or bounce charges that left them with penalties. Now, cash, though, offers certainty. What you have in your hand is yours. So it's this trust gap here that is the real divide. You see, we have wealthier households that are driving this growth of digital, while the vast majority of lower income consumers are just sticking with hard currency. And that's another reason why banks hate it. You see, with cash, they can't track your spending or build a profile. And so without that data, they can't give you access to the likes of loans, insurance, or rewards. So is cash dying? Not yet. South Africa seems to be living between two economies at once. One where your phone is your wallet, and another where your wallet is the only thing you trust. So normally if competitors agree on prices, it's called price fixing. and it's a crime. But South Africa's government has just handed out special permission for one sector to do exactly that. Trade Minister Parks Tau has signed off on a 5-year deal that allows sugar producers, retailers, and food companies to coordinate how and when price hikes are calculated. In any other sector, that kind of collusion would trigger a crackdown by the Competition Commission, but here it's being made legal. So what's the reason for this? Well, the sugar sector is in free fall. Local demand has dropped from 1.65 to 1.25 million tons a year, forcing producers to sell overseas at prices literally below local costs. And as a result of that, it's drained about 2 billion rand a year and wiped out 65,000 jobs in the past 5 years. So this permission comes with guardrails, so no fixing final shelf prices or tenders, and an independent referee to oversee the talks. Still though, it's a rather rare case in government-sanctioned price fixing, or in an attempt to keep the sugar industry alive. And before we rock your socks off with our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, more than 20,000 pregnancies and nearly 19,000 STI cases were recorded at TVET and CET colleges in 2024. Proof that free rubbers don't help if they stay in the box. Absa reported a 16% rise in half-year earnings to nearly 12 billion rand, with revenue up 5% and dividends 15% higher. But in saying that, it cut SA's 2025 growth forecast to just 0.9% amid these global trade tensions. And I just want to give a shout out to Road for setting us up with this new mark. Guys, I've tried plenty over the years. I can confidently say that this is the best quality mark I've had yet. And I think you could probably hear the difference too. So whether you're into podcasting, gaming, or just want to sound sharper on your Zoom calls, definitely check them out. I'll add their links below to make it easier. And on to our most anticipated section of the show, the Bagel Bite of the day. Let's see what you got. So the question is, what is the national animal of Scotland? Is it A, the dragon, B, the Loch Ness Monster, or C, the unicorn? And no, this is not a trick question. Bonus points though if you know in which century it earned this title. And on to our wildcard section. Look, you can grow wine across continents, coffee in dozens of countries, but rooibos, that only comes from one patch on Earth, South Africa's Cederberg Mountains. Now, the Khoisan were the first to brew it, cutting and fermenting the plant into a herbal tea that they used for medicine and everyday life. Then, when Swedish botanist Carl Thunberg visited in 1772, he wrote about these locals sipping this red bush, but it stayed as this small regional habit. Enter Benjamin Ginsberg, a Russian immigrant with a knack for trading. In the early 1900s, he spotted rooibos's potential, selling it from his mule cart as mountain tea. Then the final piece fell into place in the 1930s when Dr. Peter Lafrost-Notier cracked the code to cultivating rooibos on farms, turning it from this wild harvest into an industry. Today, rooibos is protected by the EU like champagne or Parma ham, meaning that if it isn't from South Africa, it isn't the real thing. And there we have it, a local brew with global status. And as for that bagel bite, the answer is the unicorn. It was chosen in the 15th century not for whimsy, but because the unicorn was seen as a symbol of purity, power, and freedom, an untamable force that no crown could ever chain. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in all the way until the end. Hope you guys have all had a great start to the week. Be kind to one another, and I'll catch you all same time tomorrow. Cheers.